Hello, everyone. So we're going to start a project called the Top 6 Project, and it's going to take something that looks like a standard web page like this, and we're going to be creating something that looks like this. Okay, and we're going to be doing that by using some open source software called, some open source code called Bootstrap. Okay, Bootstrap is going to give us a grid. It's going to give us these things called cards, and it's going to give us these anchor tags that are already styled out that when we click them, they go to a website that we choose. Okay, and it's called top six because you can choose six of anything. You could do top six shoes, top six TV shows that you like, top six movies that you like. You are going to decide. I just chose top six artists. So I'm going to show you how to build this. So we're going to start with a very simple, this is called a boilerplate. In this boilerplate, it shows you what the document is. It gives you the language, or it says the doc type is HTML. It says the language is English. It gives you a character set of UTF-8. This allows us to use like some of the standard things that we type on our keyboards, like English letters and emojis. It tells the Up here, it tells the view to be equal to the device width, which is nice because if you view it on your phone, it will also like be compatible with that. It gives the title, which ends up being like, if I pop this out, it ends up being what's at the top here. So we can change that one. So for me, I could put top six artists if I want, like that. Okay, and then right now you are going to start without a CSS file, right? But it has a link to the CSS file, but you actually don't have the file here. So that's actually going to be one of the first things that we are going to do. So let's just jump right in, knowing that we're going to take this from here to make something that looks like this. Let's go ahead and start by adding a new file here, and let's call it styles with an S .css. Okay, so here it should be the same name as this because you're saying the style sheet should be the one that's called styles CSS. And then I want you to take lines 11 and 12 and delete them. You don't need the JavaScript link there. So we can test out the style CSS by adding some style in here. We could say background color teal and just make sure that it is properly linked. Okay, and it is here. So I'm going to take that out for a second so that it's just easier for me to style without that. Okay, I just want to make sure that my link worked and I named it correctly. Okay, and I gave some space in the head of my HTML here before my heading tag closed. And here's my body tag. So I'm going to delete the things inside the body tag. So what you should be left with is an opening body tag and then a closing body tag and then a closing HTML. So this closes here, the head opens here, it closes here, the body opens here, it closes here. These are like boxes. So most of the stuff I'm going to put into the head of the HTML, except I want to go, the first thing I want to do is I want to go get something called Bootstrap. Now let's look back at this is the code for the project that I just showed you. And this is from where I've made it previously in a different system called Replit. But one thing I want you to understand about this project, it's not so much you programming from scratch. It is you learning how to use open source code that somebody else has programmed or somebody else has come up with. And the idea is that it gives you better tools for styling. So you might have noticed that all the web pages we've made so far, they're all in like one column. Well, Bootstrap is going to give us like a grid system that we're going to be able to use with these things called containers and rows here. And within the rows, we're going to have columns, and that's going to give us this nice ability to put objects next to each other and to create this grid that is, 3 wide by 2 high. Okay, it's going to be 6 items in there. Bootstrap also, so this is all code that I generated from Bootstrap and that I've modified. There's a lot of things in here that you may not understand. So the idea is that you are taking like code that you didn't write yourself and you are trying to understand it. So instead of coming from scratch, you are taking somebody else's code and your job is to understand that code that you are using, that you are borrowing for free. Okay. And one thing you have to understand about Bootstrap is it generates a lot of code. There's like a lot of stuff here, right? This is 95 lines of code. But a lot of the code is repeated. It's like blocks of repeated code. So once you get the hang of one of the things, usually you're able to find the other things quite easily. So let's go back to our project here. And what we're going to do is we're going to search Bootstrap right here. And we are going to jump into it right here. Okay. And the first thing I want to do is I want to go where it says, I want to get I'll go to Docs, and I want to do something with the quick start. So I want to be able to get the code that allows me to use the CSS. Okay, this is a library of codes. There's like a bunch of stuff here that I can use. You can use the CSS, which is the styling, and the JavaScript, which is like the interaction. We're not doing JavaScript, we're only doing CSS. So what I want to do is I want to go to the second box here, it says number 2, and this line of code that it's under the title, where it says link href, and it gives you like a website here. So this is going to link to another style, the styling sheet. I'm going to be very careful, and I'm going to go all along this line and copy this line, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, and above it I'm going to add a comment link to Bootstrap, and to make it a comment I'm going to highlight it, and then I'm going to do Command Shift. Okay, so that makes it into a comment. Now when you refresh it, like nothing is really going to make a difference, but what you'll see later on is it will allow the other features to work nicely with it. If you don't have this line of code, the other features are going to look like stacked up as opposed to being in a grid system. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do here is I want to get something called a nav bar. So I want to search up here and I want to say nav. Okay, it brings me down to like the more complicated nav bars, and I don't really want a complicated one. I want a pretty easy one. I want something that looks like, I'm going to go up to the top here. Let me scroll down again. This is pretty complicated. I don't need this really complicated one. I want to go to the one that says brand, and underneath it, I want where it says as a heading, I want to copy this right here, and I want to paste it into my body here. That's the first thing I'm going to have at the very top is a nav bar right here. Okay, so it comes with different things. It comes with like a style. If you notice, there's already a non-standard font family that's being used here. It's slightly gray right here, so you can see like it's a little bit different than the other color. So there's a lot of, because this is pointing to the style from Bootstrap, when you bring in something from Bootstrap, it's going to allow you to style it differently. Or it's going to look different than if you styled it just on a regular HTML page. You're going to take out the nav bar and you're going to say top 6. And for me, mine would be artists. Okay, so if I refresh it, it's going to look like that. And if you want to see it for the large page, you'll see that I changed the heading here, or the title, and the heading looks like that. Okay, so that's good enough for the first video. You should have gotten Bootstrap and you should get the nav bar in the first video.